seventh graders, we're going to look at lesson 5.4 today. And I want you to learn how to multiply and divide fractions, or mixed numbers with fractions, or whole numbers with fractions. Okay?
Could you do something like 6.1?
You can start the notes for 6.1. Start writing the notes. So, the first thing you have to do when you're multiplying fractions is to convert all of the numbers to fraction form. Okay? So if you have an example like, let's say you're starting with a mixed number times a fraction. 1 1/2 times 3/4. What you have to do first is change the mixed number to a fraction, to a top-heavy fraction, before you can multiply. So, how would you rewrite this one? Put these in your notes, please. How would you rewrite this one? Andrew?
It would be
3/2 times 3/4. Okay? What if you had a decimal times a fraction? What if you had 1.25 times 7/11? Right. We'd have to change it to 1 1/4 times 7/11. And then change it again to what, Aiden?
4 and 44, 4 and 44.
Nope, we'd have to change this one also.
Yeah. Oh, 1 and
1 1/4 would change to,
1 and 144.
we'd have to change it to a top-heavy fraction.
Yeah.
So how would we change it? What would it be as a top-heavy fraction? 1 1/4. What would that be as a top-heavy fraction? You do 1 times 4, the whole number times the denominator,
4,
plus the numerator.
5,
And then write it over the denominator.
5/4.
5/4. 5/4 times 7/11. Okay? Why couldn't you just change 7/11 to a decimal? Why couldn't you just change that to a decimal? What do you know about 11ths as a decimal?
There is no 11.
Well, there kind of is. Yeah, it's not a terminating decimal, it's a repeating decimal. Okay? And so, you can't use that as a decimal. You have to change the other one to a fraction. Okay? And then the same thing with a whole number. How do you write a whole number as a fraction? Like 7 times 7/9. Melina? Would you write 7/7 or 7? You're on the right track, but it's 7 over 1. Whole number can be written as a fraction just by putting it over 1. Okay? So, make sure you put all these in your notes. You should have been writing while we're going through this. Okay? Then one of the things that you'll have to do is learn how to factor out common factors before you multiply. factoring out common factors means reducing the fractions first before multiplying. Okay? Stop talking.
Sorry.
So, let's say that we have one like five. Let's look at this example. Let's put it right here. 5 over 2 times 1/15. Now, factoring out means that we can look diagonally across, or look on the top line and look on the bottom line, and look to reduce or factor out a common factor out of those numbers before multiplying. So 5 and 15 have a common factor, right? How can we reduce 5 and 15?
So you would reduce the 5 to 1 and the 15 to 3?
Yeah, we take out the 5s out of both of these numbers. This is 5 times 1, this is 5 times 3. So take out the 5s. 5 times 1 and 5 times 3. Then once we take out the common factors, now you can multiply. And when you're multiplying fractions, you multiply across the top, and then multiply across the bottom. Or multiply the numerators, and then multiply the denominators. 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 3 is 6. Okay? Any questions on that? All right, let's go to dividing. To divide fractions. Start writing again. You don't have to write this part because you already know you have to change it to fraction form. Put all numbers in fraction form. But in order to divide the fraction, you change it to multiplication. Change the problem to multiplication and flip the second fraction, or flip the divisor. That flipped fraction is called the reciprocal. Reciprocals are numbers that when you multiply it by the other number, if you multiply a number and its reciprocal, the answer is 1. So 1 over 4 and 4 over 1 are reciprocals. It's the fraction just flipped over. 1 and 1/2 is 3 halves, and so the reciprocal is 2/3. Okay? And then you can reduce it. So you rewrite the problem as multiplication and flip the second fraction. And then you actually multiply to find the answer. You multiply to find the answer to a division, to dividing fractions. Okay? It sounds complicated, but let me show you a couple of examples. Okay? I'll come back to these notes. Let me show you a couple examples so you get comfortable with this. All right? So let's say that we have 2/3 divided by 4/9. 2/3 divided by 4/9. Okay? What you do is rewrite it as multiplication and then use the reciprocal of the second fraction. This is the divisor, so always use the divisor and change it to 9/4. Multiply it by 2/3. So this first fraction stays the same, the second fraction gets flipped. Okay? Then, reduce it. Look at these diagonals. We can reduce 2/4 to 1/2. Take out the 2's. And we can reduce 9 and 3 by taking out the 3's. And then multiply. 1 times 3 is 3. And 1 times 2 is 2. That's the answer. Or you can convert it to 1 1/2. Okay? Flip the second fraction and then multiply. Okay? What is that flipped fraction called? The reciprocal. Use the reciprocal of the divisor and then multiply. Okay? Any questions?